Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Reading Narrative Analysis Media, where we are going to talk on matters local and international politics and governance. On today's agenda, we are basically focusing on the recent issue that has been trending across the Kenyan politics. Yes, the leadership arena of the executive. What has it been? Today we are majorly going to discuss the issue, the travel of the President of Kenya to the United States of America. Yes, he had an invitation to the United States, but today we are basically going to measure on the private jet that the President leased to travel to the United States. Why is it a matter of intrigue that has raised an uproar in the Kenyan populace and maybe affecting even the global? Because even the diaspora members who live across have also raised their concern. On this analysis, we are going to basically discuss it based on two trajectories. One of the trajectory, we are going to look on the financial consideration. And on the other side, we are going to look on the importance of the safety of the president on it. So before we go on this discussion, kindly remember to subscribe to this channel. Also hit the notification bell so that whenever we upload any information, you become one of the prioritized members to get this. Welcome, and let's go on now. Why is this presidential jet becoming a topic? Remember, this is not the first time this uproar is raising. When the president got into power in 2013 as the deputy president, he also hired a travel jet outside Kenya. A similar uproar came, and actually in court, it was named HUSTLER'S jet. A lot of cries went around, people saying how they are misusing the resources of the public. Either way, a parliamentary inquiry was created. They overlooked over it, tried to gauge everything. And now, it has repeated while he is the president. On the start, I said we are going to discuss this basing on two trajectory. So let's begin with the first trajectory, where basically we are going to talk about the safety and maybe the characteristics and the plane's outfit and how it is and why is it that expensive. So which plane is this? Remember, in this, the president normally uses Harambee 1. But on this time, he has decided to use the Boeing business jet. Yes, these are luxury kind of jets, most used by high-end celebs, kings, top world leaders, and many other famous people. If I may say, maybe footballers and top-notch footballers. Where is this jet from? Remember, this is a jet that is being owned by the Abu Dhabi royal family. Yes, it's well customized to meet the high-end demands of high-ranked delegates or top officials, heads of state. So Ruto being one of them, he indeed have all the qualification to hire such kind of plane. It's a normal for top leaders of various countries to use such kind of planes, and they normally use it. So Ruto is not the first one. Why do we say it's that? Remember, Harambee 1 can only travel, they say, a maximum of 5 hours before it takes another stop point. But this BBJ, how long does it take? It's approximated to be around a minimum of 8 hours. And what is the travel hours from Kenya to Atlanta in US? Roughly close to those hours. So that is one of the factors that qualifies the president to use it. Number two, the president was to travel with a delegation. And remember, these are top delegation, including cabinet secretaries, governors, permanent secretaries. And normally, when these people travel outside the country, they don't use the economy class kind of jet or seats in the planes, they normally use first class and even business class. How much are they? Perhaps too costly, $1 million and above. So he was to go with the delegation. How much could that cost? Even more. So otherwise, in terms of calculation, that could be also a strategic, because in this plane, it has a capacity of around 34 seats. So with this delegation, high chances it was going to serve the demand. So that's another factor or reason that maybe the president put into consideration. Again, being a top leader, laxity is for anyone, as long as you've got the ability to pay. Yes, even if it's taxpayers' money, can we Kenyans not afford to pay that? Because approximately, they are saying it's going to cost the taxpayer roughly between 200 million to 300 million, based on all factors being considered in. So are we not capable of paying that? Perhaps we aren't, based on the current economic situation and the cries that the president himself normally gives us. But yes, we can afford also. So, for his laxity, remember there are various components. This is a plane that has got a lot of features. Remember, it is a very new plane that from the details, it was bought just like 7 years ago. So perhaps the maintenance level is still very okay. Good features. Remember, there are other institutes that are enclosed in it. Conference room for it. High-end washrooms. King-size bed. A lot of things. Very many components that are attached to it that actually makes that price to be indeed the one that is supposed to work. So with that, it makes it possible for him to use it. Now let's go to that trajectory that makes it a worry for everyone, including any Kenyan, both within and outside the country. This is matters economical factor. This is a hustler nation. That's the narrative that we were told by the president. And we being hustlers, what do we normally go through? We are crying. The economy is tough. No resources. There's a lot of challenges facing us. Remember, in the recent floods have ravaged a lot of villages, a lot of slums. People are suffering. Evacuation from the riversides. The riparian lands, people have been demonstratively making noise after their households were destroyed by the same government. They demanded compensation. The president went on to say at least 10,000 compensation will be given to those people. Why? Because the government has got no money. So what could 300 million do? Remember, it could compensate that number in huge lump sum that could enable them accommodate the situation that they were going through. So basing on the crisis that we are going through, that was as a real hustler number one. Maybe we perhaps thought he should have demonstrated that narrative by cutting out that cost. Why again do we cry? Remember, in the recent statements and speeches that the president has been giving out, one of his key factors was the austerity measures that he has been putting across on various ministries and the state departments, trying to cut across the budget so that we can lower the expenses that has been affecting the nation. Being the leading example, he should have sung the tune with the examples. But what do you see? He's leading in expenses. What do other ministers, permanent secretaries, governors, and even state officials do you think will now begin doing? Perhaps we lead by example. That's a new tune now that has been set for other leadership. We don't know. Because as we all know, people normally say from matters, state visits, the country that normally organizes such kind of a visit normally takes the charge of all the costs associated maybe by all accommodation and transportation. So we don't know whether the United States government is associated with such kind of costs. But from the recent reports that have been rumored around, the United Embassy declined that it's not involved in any way in catering for such costs. So that means the Kenyan taxpayer has the burden on his ears. Remember, from the current cost of the jet, it's approximated that for every hour that the president was on air, it's going to tax you, tax you, 2 million. What can 2 million do in this economy? It seems less. But remember, even the same president, we pay him less than that 2 million in a month. So him spending it in an hour, where is it coming from? Yes, it's our sweat. But either way, as I had said earlier, we have also to factor all the other safety measures for the president. But as a leading example, he should have applied several austerity measures, because there are very many ways we would have reduced this cost. I don't know, according to you as the viewer of this, how do you analyze? And what could be your point of view from whatever it's the outcry from the Kenyan taxpayers? We need to get your view. Go to the comment section, give your comment how you wish it would have been done. But in the meantime, I just remind you politely, don't forget to subscribe, and always remember to hit the notification bell so that whenever there's a new content, you become the first one to be notified. I wish to get your reservations on the comment section so that we can keep on this conversation and know how you think as a Kenyan. But either way, from the opposition and other leadership of the nation, the uproar is out. We need to get this, how it is really happening, how it is costing us, and how it could have been avoided. There are few that are saying there should be also another parliamentary inquiry committee to look into this, so that maybe we can have HUSTLER 2 inquiry committee. Perhaps it can be a good move. But without a lot of blames, we also expect the president to be forward and lead Kenyans in whatever it's supposed to be done. Because there are a lot of delegations that were gone. We've seen the content creators are also among the delegations. So perhaps it's also good for the country. Having looked at those trajectory, are we going a loss? That is the third point that I would wish us to kindly look and analyze. What could be the positives of this trip? Remember, in 15 years from Africa, Ruto is now another head of state that is now being given a state invitation to the United States. So positively, it has got a lot of benefits. Remember, he has met a lot of people. We've seen inter-states meeting happening. For example, the governor of Atlanta and the governor of Nairobi meeting on how they can do an interchange of various programs and activities that could be beneficial to the countries. The content creators part, it's an appreciation. We saw people like Eddie Butita, Jugush, they were there. And we also see the president was being interviewed by Steve Harvey. Remember, he's one of the biggest content creators also even from the other side. We saw he met the basketballer O'Neal. So perhaps that also can help on our sporting industry, content creators, as they can get an exchange of ideas on how to come and benefit us. Remember, content creation has been one of the leading employer of the Kenyan populace amongst mostly the youths. And actually it is paying them good. So maybe the trip has got a lot of benefits. The president has gone across various institutions, and we've seen certain MOUs being discussed and exchanged. He has met the people in diaspora, also within the US, try to talk to them, showing them why they should pay their tax, why they should invest back home. So it's a trip that has got a lot of benefits. That's why I say we should not be that too much negative, basing on the trip and looking at the cost. At times, we have to pay the cost for us to get the real price. So perhaps, even as we cry about this cost of transportation and accommodation maybe in the US. Let's look at the big picture. What is the benefit of it to the Kenyan populace? Is there any positive that is going to bring to us? That should also be another trajectory of viewing this trip. But it's high time we should be patient as we wait for whatever should be coming out of the trip. But it's a humble cry and request that also the president should look into consideration on the austerity measures that he has been singing and showing us about the hustler narrative, that we should be dearly keep our expenses as per our capability of raising them. If we can spend that in just 4 days, then indeed Kenya, we have resources, so we should not also suffer. From your comment section, give us your view. Till another time, goodbye. Let's meet.